I didn't say we weren't doing anything today.
I know, like, not like,
No, I'm just going to have my notes here because we might need them for some things. So, again, if you need a note packet of misplaced during practice, they're both on the back table ready and raring to go for you. But the notes I have on here, not because we're doing new ones, but because what we see right here is going to be useful as it has been every single day that we've been in this unit so far. Because we're going to be breaking down radicals. We're going to be putting them together. But now we're going to be doing them in a little different of a format. So, depending on how much of a person you are with puzzles and things. So, today we have the case of mixed up radicals. In its most basic form, you've got these questions here that we're going to break down. Now, I'm going to help on a couple, because a couple of these numbers get a little ridiculously big, and I'm going to need to help out some. But all of the answers for the word bank are down the right side if they've been broken down completely. And if you are a mystery person down at the bottom, you can check off stuff as you find it and figure out different parts about each of our people here and be the detective. But all I'm asking for is the regular part here. So let's jump in with ones a little bit more normal, and then we'll do a couple of the weird ones that are a little bigger, and then I'll kind of let you play with some of them for a bit here too. So, okay, might as well start with number one. That's as good of a spot as any to be. So, when we're looking at these, again, unless you know right off the bat what's going to go into 54, let me get this over here to keep this, that'll get this down a little bit better.
I know what it is.
Okay, hang tight. If you don't know what it is, again, we're looking at the numbers that are less than 54 in this case, that you're right. And you're just going to, again, start dividing them in. As you see these more, you will start to be able to do them quicker and be like, okay, I know those other ones aren't, but this one will. I finally get to one that's not a decimal. So 9 and 6. But the only one that gets to break down is the one that's in my perfect list. Whether it's here, whether it's in my notes, okay? 5. Thank you. So, once you get that, the one that's perfect, we just move up to the top, and that's the one that gets to break down. The 6 does not. It stays in radical jail. So we're over on page 5, kind of seeing how things are going here. And if you want, then you can go over and see 3 square root of 6 is Preston. So you can start to look and see some of these things as we go, or at least check them off and see how this is going. 5. Yeah, we're over on 5. In the practice packet. Oh, okay. There, the practice packets are in the back, right next to the turn-in tray. The ones up to quiz 6. And so you're like, okay, so that's all I'm doing on this. You are, but like I said, there's a couple that get a little out of hand. So let me help. One of the ones that's going to get a little out of hand here is number 5. So I want to make sure we're ready for that. You're like, whoa, 5, 12. And so you start dividing the ones in here that you're rolling along with. This experiment is about to end because I have several of you, again, listening is a skill that several of you just don't have. I don't understand. So could I start working through with 512 on these and just see if I happen to find one? Let's try that first, but then I can kind of throw out there for you what can happen to us sometimes if we don't get the largest one. So you're like, okay, well, 64 and 8, Hardy, that works. So let's try this. So let's do 64 and 8. So if I go with the list that I've got, 64 is 8.
It's just 8, 8.
So you're like, 8 square root of 8. And you start looking down the list. And you're looking, and you don't see 8 square root of 8 anywhere. You're like, what the heck? I did it right, or is Hardy just a moron? Neither of those are true. At least not most of the time. But here's my thing. That 8 that's here, I didn't get the biggest perfect square out.
It could still be.
So if I look at 8, and this can happen if sometime you get an answer that doesn't match, double check and be like, well, wait a minute. Like, this radical, I can still do this again. I can divide this by 4. Now, hopefully this does not happen very often.
When you put it on the desk.
Because now I look and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So I got the 8 here from before, that's fine. But now I'm looking at this pink stuff. And I'm like, the square root of 4 is 2. So 2 square root of 2, and now it's like what we did yesterday. I multiply the stuff on the outside. You're like, Hardy, would you do that to us on a quiz? No. But it is good for you to see that sometimes this is why we always want to work when we're looking at our list, that we're always working from largest to smallest. Because even with some of these smaller ones, there may be a couple of these numbers that go in it. But if I don't get the biggest one, I'm going to have to go back in and do it twice. If any of you are curious, the biggest perfect square that goes into 512 is 256, which is 16 squared. So our list isn't quite that big. We don't need it to be yet. But if we had one that big, it would be that. The rest of these on the page, as I look, because I'm making sure I'm not saying something incorrectly. Nope, I'm not. The rest of them on the page, these will be the largest ones. So even if, let's see, even if,
Wait,
which one?
8, 9, or
9 or 8? I don't care which one.
8.
8, okay. So let me scooch this down a little. So 8, all right, let's start looking these over. Why did I move that? I don't know. So let's see, 8, oh, we got all the way at the start here. All right, we got this. 147 divided by 100. And again, if we get decimals, it's no good. So we just got to keep rolling with this until we find one. And I think I said this yesterday. I've seen some of you on phones how quick you can go. Ooh, 49 and 3.
7.
Just looking for that one where it goes in nice and where it goes in nice and even. If you can see it on the screen. Square root of 49 is 7. So 7 square root of 3. And there it is. So, excuse me, mercy. So that's what we're doing all along on this page. Now, everything today, because I said this was going to be true yesterday, isn't just going to be breaking down radicals. This is a good place to start, though. The second part of what we're going to do today, we got to go in a little deeper here. We're heading over to 11 and 12, and it's not your eyes. I'm zooming out some here. So this is page 11. And so here, you're going to have adding. You're going to have subtracting. You're going to have multiplying. But you're going to have a puzzle that helps you figure out where you're going. Because, like, for instance, at the start, there's 3 paths I can take, but only one of them is correct. Anybody, which direction is the place to go first? Same variable. Well, it is like a variable. Same radical. What's 3 plus 4? 7. And we leave the radical alone. So, I'm not going to color it in completely because I want to be able to see the answer still. But wherever your answer is, that kind of leads you to the next problem. You're not going to have to do all of these. I mean, I guess you could just do them all if you don't like the puzzle, but otherwise, you can just work your way through to the exit and be done. So you look and you're like, okay, so 8 squared. Oh, this is like that one was. Same radical. 8 minus 3. So I do have to watch for signs, though. Well, we're just on a roll. We're just going straight down. So I keep working my way through. Back over. So now the next one, not add and subtract anymore. It is my child in teenage form. What's 2 times 8? Just the listening skills today. 16. Wait a minute. Let me get this back out. 16 is already a perfect square, so you don't have to break it down even. You just have got the answer, which is 4. So I'm paying attention to whether it's add, subtract, whatever it is. I got one more in me. Then I'm going to show you one other thing on the last page. Quick question. I don't see a number in front of this square root of 7. What number is there? There is a number there.
Huh?
What number is here in front of the square root of 7? 1. Same radical. Just look at the coefficients. 1 minus 9. And so you just keep working through until you get to the exit. Then you're done. But do, show me what your answers are as you go. Don't just color in everything and be like, yeah, I'm good. Because again, it helps you if you're actually looking at them and trying to figure them out some. Now, I'll admit, the one on the back of 11 on 12, which is the last place we're going, a little more work. A little more work on 12. So let me make one last flip here. On the back of 11. Okay, so here's start. There's the exit.
Oh, there's it.
Yep, here's the start, here's the exit.
It's smart.
And even a smiley face, hey. Same deal, except now on these, we got to do a little more work. For instance, here on the start one, I'm like, ooh, radicals not the same. You cannot add these right away. So, get my handy dandy help sheet back out, or my note packet. Okay, 5 isn't going to break down anymore. How do I know this? 4 is the only number smaller than 5 in the list, and that's a decimal, so that doesn't break down. 20, though, okay, there's my numbers less than 20. 16 didn't work, 9 didn't work, 4 does work. So 4 and 5, but only the 4 breaks down to 2. So you're like, okay, wait. 2 square root of 5, because the 4 broke down. But this 2's kind of lurking still. So 2 times 2 is 4 times the square root of 5. I wish they had given it a little more room in these boxes. And so now it's like what we did on the first page. Once we broke this down, the radicals are the same. And 4 plus 4 is 8 square root of 5. You're like, oh. Okay, I want to do a couple more because I see where this is heading. So we're going to make sure we're good. 12. No, we did 20. I'm like, didn't we just do 12? No. Okay, so 12, not 9. 4 works. Again, it's just the number we divide by in the answer. Square root of 4 is 2. Again, if you'd rather do it like on a different piece of paper and then just attach it, we can do that. And multiply the 2 numbers on the outside. But again, we're hoping this is going to get to 3 so we can still go further, but maybe we can, maybe we can't. So again, start with the numbers that are less than 48 and find that first one that goes in without a death. 3. That's what we're looking for. 16 and 3. Sixteen's in the perfect square box. 4. And don't forget about that -6 that's hanging out, because we got to multiply those numbers that aren't under the radical together still. 8 minus 24. I don't need to put the radical in my calculator, because remember, that's just like x. So you're like, ugh, those aren't the greatest. Yeah, those do take a little longer. So one more out of me, and then I'll kind of just float around and help individual people. If it's multiply the numbers on the outside. Again, we got this in our examples. Multiply the numbers on the inside. I don't see this as an answer going any of my directions, so I must need to break this down. So I go to 18, and I start dividing the numbers in. So 9 and 2. 9's in my list. So the square root of 9 is 3, square root of 2, and now my 8's lurking. 8 times 3 is 24, square root of 2. And I got me my next step towards getting to the end. This will come in making that review tomorrow look really easy. If you put the practice in. Reminder, if I can get this to move, there we go. Reminder, over on the front of Classroom, if you need any of the notes that we've done so far, they are now here and ready to go. So if you need those, they're here for you. Now we don't need to rumble. I'll get this back up and leave this here. That decides to get off my screen. And if you need me, I'm here.